Here.
Richard Anthony.
Here.
Ted Carves.
Here.
Margot Collins.
Here.
David Burns.
Here.
Tyler Shorman.
Here.
John Sherman.
Here.
Jada Roche. And Liz Costa.
Here.
That's it? Okay, thank you. Do you want to start with the Pledge of Allegiance? Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. So hopefully today is a short meeting. I know Charlene sent out the minutes earlier. Hope everybody had a chance to read them. I know Tyler already made one suggestion to an edit. I'm not sure if anybody else has any edits or has had time to read them at this point. Tyler, do you want to explain what your edit was? I'm sorry.
Point out at the end of my interview in the last meeting, it says in the last statement, it said he was committing to the committee and would not be running for selectman next year. I did not say I would not be running. I said that was not my thought process at the time.
Right.
So we could just adjust that.
And Charlene concurred, yeah. Thankfully, we have video to concur this, yeah.
I make a motion to approve the April 23rd, 2024 Budget Committee meeting minutes as amended.
I'll second that.
All in favor? Or, I'm sorry, are there any other comments, any other concerns? No comments? All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Okay,
I abstain.
okay, John. All right, thank you. So next on the agenda for today is, while reviewing the operating procedures earlier in the year, I think that's in here, right, Charlene?
Yes, the first.
I noticed the Town of Plasto's operating procedures had one line item that I wanted to change, and I don't know if anybody else has had a chance to read them. The original line item read, if there was a vacancy, we would fill that vacancy within 5 days. And I want to change that to, we'll make it public within 5 days to open up to the public to get qualified candidates. So that's my only proposed change.
What is, this question, what does that actually mean?
So if you resign Thursday, by next Tuesday, we have to make it public that there's an open vacancy. And then within 21 days, entertain all letters of intent that we received, and then have a meeting at that point to fill that vacancy.
So we'll be on, when a vacancy happens, you're looking to have it advertised that you're.
Yeah, at least within 5 days, advertise, and then have no later than 21 days to entertain filling it. If we have qualified candidates after 1 week, I'm not opposed to whatever the board wants to do to fill it sooner than later. With no longer than a 21 business day to have that consideration. I don't know if it's on this one, Charlene, or the one that was attached to the email.
It's on the town, it's in your packets. It's Town of Plastow Municipal Budget Committee Operating Procedure Overview adopted October 25th, 2016. It's going to
Right.
be the second paragraph. And it's going to be, it says, if an opening appears during the year, it is the Budget Committee's responsibility to fill that opening within a 5-day period.
Thank you.
So you want to change it to, you want to post the opening.
Exactly.
within 5 days.
Post it within 5 business days. Because I think filling it within 5 days could be obviously a challenge. If somebody resigns on Thursday, that gives you until Tuesday to fill it, in theory.
One of the things that's confused me is I've got different versions of this document. What's the newest or most recent?
I think the one Katie just read is the newest. That's the one that's on the town website.
Correct.
Adopted October 25?
Yep, adopted October 25th, 2016. That's the newest.
sorry.
That's the most up-to-date that we currently have.
It's right here.
Cool. I was concerned about that.
I'm sorry, yes.
It's okay.
So are we going to have a group discussion of this? Or?
Of course, yeah, whatever, that's why we're here.
Okay.
So if anybody has any other proposals for that paragraph, I'm more than willing to listen and see what the rest of the board wants to do.
So would the wording be posted within 5 days and filled within 21 days thereafter?
I wouldn't say filled necessarily because you have to have a meeting. So we could have a meeting within 21 days and not have a candidate. So filling, I don't want to fill an empty seat just because we might have a warm body. But there will be a meeting to fill that seat at the beginning of either a normal meeting or a special meeting.
I think a key word here is business
Of
days.
course. If you run into holidays, like, if it happened on Labor Day weekend, you could be 3 or 4 days before.
Correct, but
people are-
just to make sure we cover our butts,
Yep,
I
of
think to
course,
make sure we say business days is critical here.
Of course.
I think the advantage of the extension here too is we may get a bigger pool of candidates too, if it's not limited to
Well,
those
yeah,
5 days.
yeah, I would say you want at least 2 business
Right.
weeks, at least 10 business days. 21 might be too long. 21 is the max that I would want to go out. I wouldn't want to exceed that. But if we have 3 qualified candidates within 7 days, I would have no, whatever the board wants to do, I'll meet sooner than that.
What's your logic on the 21 days? I mean, why wouldn't you just say the next, monthly meeting?
It could, well, that's the, as far out, 21 is just a random number. It could be 14 business days. It could be 10 business days. It could be within two meetings, because you don't know when it's going to happen. Say you resign on June 1st, and we don't have a meeting in June. I don't want to wait until September to fill your vacancy. What would you prefer, or what?
No, I'm just wondering, is there a I think that is a statutory timeline that isn't just merely arbitrary. You have to
If,
fill it within a.
if you look at page 3 of this document, it states that, which it's actually showing that it was the Plastow Budget Committee vacancy policy and procedure, which was dated September 26, 2017. The very last line states, it should be noted that the Budget Committee is not required to fill any vacancy. All vacancies shall be filled in accordance with New Hampshire RSA 32:15.
Yeah, so I don't know if there's a time limit to have that meeting. I think filling the vacancy is up to the board as a whole to figure out if that person is needed to fill that vacancy. It could be the next monthly meeting. I'm not opposed to that either. I just want to give the public opportunity to participate in the solicitation of filling a seat.
Can I make a suggestion?
Of course, Katie.
So currently on page 1, paragraph 2, it states that if an opening appears during the year, it is the Budgets Committee's responsibility to fill that opening within a 5-day period. So is this where you want to put the different
That's the only
language?
change I wanted to make.
In the, but that paragraph, correct?
Yes, sir. Yes,
So then you're fine. I have proposed language then, just for opening. If an opening appears during the year, the Budget Committee will post the vacancy within 5 business days. That's right now what I've got.
That's what I was thinking, yes.
We could maybe agree on that language first and then figure out about
Okay.
like how long.
Yeah, I mean, that makes sense.
Okay.
So what's the trick, once you get an application, so we're not sitting on an application, like, oh, look, we got an application.
Well, that's why I would put a time limit on the back end.
Want to apply to the budget committee?
No, that's why I put a time limit on it. I don't know if it's 2 business weeks, 10 days, the next meeting, but, like I said, if this happens in May or June, we might not have a scheduled meeting till August or September. So I don't want to wait that long, but at the same time, I don't want a meeting 12 days later with 1 application in. So if you want to put an end on it, if you want to say within 2 business weeks or within 3 Thursdays or 3 Tuesdays rather, I don't mind putting an end on it, Rich. I just want to make sure it's not open-ended, but I don't want to also limit our pool of options.
Why don't we just say the next scheduled meeting?
Well, what if you resign on Wednesday, the next meeting's that following Tuesday?
And someone has an application.
That's true. I mean, we could,
At the next meeting, you would announce.
yeah, in theory, if we had a next meeting, we could announce it, but if that meeting was say we posted that vacancy, we didn't have a scheduled meeting. We have a scheduled meeting just to announce a vacancy. Okay, I'm just trying to be mindful of the board.
Option if someone moved away over the summer and startup process to get that seat filled. And having a meeting, announcing it, and then, posting it for a period of time so that you can
Yep.
collect letters. And then at that point, once, you probably put together some type of timeline. So, say 14 days you accept letters, and then a week after that, you might have another meeting to appoint or consider the applicants.
So on the short end, 10 business days would be the shortest period we could, I mean, obviously, it could be 3 business days. You could have, Fridays, Monday, Tuesday. But how about if we extend that to, within 10 business days? Because that wouldn't be the next immediate Tuesday. So if you resigned on Monday, it wouldn't be that Tuesday, but it would be the following Tuesday. Yes, Ted.
How are we going to get word out to the
Town.
general public that,
The town posts it, it's shared at the town hall, and it's shared on the website. Would you be fine within 2 weeks, Rich?
Well, I guess what I'm worried about is, as long as we're accommodating the fact that it's an opening,
Yep.
and then somebody sends in a letter, and we're not sitting on a letter because we don't.
For 90 days,
Yeah,
wait till the
because
next meeting.
Maybe we're like, well, maybe someone else will show up.
No, that's fine.
Maybe there should be 2 people. It should be, no, there's an opening and then someone applies.
Yeah, because worst case is,
Then you should hold the meeting.
yeah, I'm not opposed to that. So the worst case is we have a meeting, and either we vote to fill the seat or not fill the seat at that point.
Yeah, I mean, you could
That's-
say
that's
no.
fine- that's
you could
fine.
say no. If the person came in, you're like, no, we don't want you on the budget.
No, that's fine. So how would you propose we write that timeline? Next meeting, next scheduled meeting? 'Cause at that point, we wouldn't have a scheduled meeting. So we could schedule a meeting at some point where where we would have a majority.
Say either like the next scheduled meeting or within 30 days or something.
I'm fine. I'm fine with that. I was going to say 21 days or 30 days. That was my timeline. It was no longer than that period. But I understand if we have a scheduled meeting, I'm not opposed to doing it the next meeting. I'm just thinking of the summertime. My 3 or 4 years on the board, it seems like we go through elections, then every May 1st, we have 3 vacancies, and there's no scheduled meeting till September. That was my mindset.
I don't think we should wait until September.
No, I agree. Those were unusual circumstances, but, all right, so we could change that aspect within the next scheduled we'll entertain all applications within the next, by the next scheduled meeting or within 30 days.
That sounds acceptable.
And to be fair, these are just general procedures. Every meeting, we can vote on when if we have applicants, we don't have to wait 30 days. We can schedule a special meeting to consider the applicants anytime, if the board sees fit.
Yeah, as long as it's not open-ended, where someone's submitting something.
No, yeah, no, and that's why I wanted to address this to get past that. That's why I wanted to address this to get past that.
So, I mean, the idea is if someone comes in and submits a letter, then we should entertain
I agree.
their candidacy, not necessarily, wait until we have a cohort of applicants.
That's why we're addressing this today, Rich. So would we put that in the second paragraph?
No, you would need to put it, you could leave the wording for what I stated about that we will post the vacancies within 5 business days, because that gets rid of the responsibility
To fill.
of filling it.
Yep,
So what
okay.
I feel like this wording needs to go is going to be in the second one that was in the procedure aspect of it, because it talks about the chair shall direct the vacancy to be posted and everything like that. So that's where you're going to have to
Page
add.
3, paragraph 2.
Somewhere in there.
Okay, and that would state applicants will be interviewed the next scheduled meeting or within 30 days. Is everybody fine with that? So I don't know if we want to make one motion to accept this with both changes or one change at a time.
So I think everyone's good with the first wording. So let's figure out the exact wording that we want to use.
All right.
Because it's in 30 days or whatever. So, and figure out where we want to insert it so that way we can pass it off and it can be updated.
So just add a final sentence, so that's that first bullet point on paragraph 3. Budget committee will interview applicants no later than 30 days after vacancy or the next scheduled meeting.
You want to call like a 30-day filing period. after the filing period to
Interview all candidates?
interview candidates. I don't know if you want to call it a filing period. That's just
Open, an open,
keep in mind.
open enrollment, yeah.
Yeah.
Do you want to do like a 10-day?
I guess what I'm envisioning, I mean, it's not uncommon on the budget committee to have had, let's say, an open position.
Right.
Okay, and have it not be suddenly open, and then have to post for it, and then people show up.
Mhm.
Right, it's been open. Okay, so you have like a vacancy that, you know, that everyone, that's advertised, there's a vacancy, and then somebody goes in to apply for the vacancy. So that's already existing. It didn't, let's say, necessarily come. I mean, that should trigger the review of the application.
Yeah.
Not necessarily say, okay, someone just applied for it, so wait, we need to now start reiterating that there's an open position and we're taking applications. I mean, if there's an open position, it's listed as open,
Right.
and then somebody comes and applies for it. That's not sort of like, oh, now we got to tell everybody we're accepting applications. I mean, it's sort of a known event.
Yeah, I mean, as soon as it's known, we try, I think it should be shared. I mean,
Right, but you know, like last year or so, there was a position open for a period of time.
yeah,
I think that was a position Margot is in right now, you know, before she ran. Right, so there was a period of time. It didn't suddenly become big,
no, we knew after the election, there was an opening.
but it was there.
Right.
So,
And we didn't try to fill that seat until our first scheduled meeting
right.
this time last year, the year before, I forget what time.
It was a substantial amount of time. People had applied.
Well, yeah, so that's why we're trying to, you know, shorten that window here. So, so Budget Committee will allow a 30-day process, opening enrollment period.
Could we say the position will be filled within a,
I don't want to say filled, because we might not have any candidates.
And with all due respect, if it's during the summertime, I could be on vacation for 2 weeks.
Well,
And somebody else could be on vacation for 2 weeks. So 5 days to let the public know it's open, 21-day process.
five days to post it, yeah.
5 days to post it, 21-day process to make sure everybody's had time to apply, and then a meeting to make a decision.
If there's not a scheduled meeting already on the schedule,
Correct.
yeah. All right, so,
Who does the posting, just in general?
Charlene would know, or Jay would know.
Either I do it or Beth does it.
Either one?
An
Okay.
admin from the town.
Okay.
Pretty trustworthy. So how do we want to word that? Does anybody want to try to put together, summarize all that?
Well, sure, now nobody's got anything to say.
No.
I'm reading, I'm looking.
So let's vote on the first proposal first and then tackle this one second. Okay. Do I have any, does anybody,
I will make a motion.
does anybody want to make a motion to recommend the change from we will fill within 5 days to we will post within 5 days, as Katie read earlier?
I will make a motion to change on page 1 of the operating procedures from October 25th, 2016, paragraph 2, for the language to say, if an opening appears during the year, the budget committee will post the vacancy within 5 business days.
Right.
Second.
Do you have any comments on that aspect of it? All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right, all opposed? Any abstain? Good,
Who's the second on that?
Jay. I made the motion, Jay seconded.
thank you. All right, so now we just need the verbiage on this time frame to get it done.
So, like,
Go ahead.
stupid question number one, I guess. So who's going to update this document again?
Do you do that, Charlene?
Either Beth or I will do it, yeah.
All right, and so
And then we'll
obviously,
share, it'll be part of the minutes, and we can review it next time we meet to concur that it's everything we wanted factually to be stated.
I just, sometimes in the past, it's been one of those, I thought
She's
you were
doing it,
gonna
he's
do
doing it, and nobody does it, yeah. I understand. So,
It's good, it's a good change.
thank you, John. Almost there.
Okay. You care if I say something?
Go ahead, Katie.
All right, so we're trying to figure out, do we want to keep the position open? We have a vacancy. We post it for 5. Do we really want to keep it open for 21 days, or do we just want to say we're going to keep the vacancy open for 10 business days, for 2 weeks, and then at the end of that 2-week period, if we have candidates, then because that's part of the process. That way we know, like, this is when it's open, this is when it's got to have an opening.
This is when we're going to start the interview process.
Correct.
And then we'll fill it as soon as we can,
Right.
if we can.
So I guess my question is, we have an opening date, a specific date. Should we as a board have a specific closing date, 21 days, 30 days before we start the process?
That's what I just asked. I was like, do we want 21 days or do we want to say 2 weeks? It's up to, that's the first part we got to get over.
Now, I would say 2 weeks. I don't want to say business days because then you run into holidays and weekends.
And I'm gonna speak up and say 21 days only because that's 3-4 weeks, and if it's in the summer and somebody's away for 2 weeks and they're not paying attention to things,
Or we could say no later than 21 business days.
my number is 21 if anybody cares.
That's okay. I like 21. No later than, it doesn't mean we don't have to entertain applications as soon as we have an application. If we have an application and a scheduled meeting, or everybody's available, I don't mind interviewing sooner than later.
Right, but if you set up posting,
You're right, Jay, you're right.
then.
We don't want to cut somebody off. Yeah,
Right,
you know,
wait till it ends.
all right. Any thoughts, Richard?
I'm just, the logic is that if you have applicants.
Yep.
So I'm just saying that, I mean, we could talk about what happens after, let's say you advertise for 2 weeks, nobody.
Right. Yeah, it's an unknown, yeah.
Theoretically, somebody then applies, drops in an application after your 2-week window.
Yeah.
You're going to advertise again, or are you going to say that that'll be entertained?
Well, no, it will be entertained whether the interview turns out well or not, but we have to put the end on that application, on that window. So if the window period, whether it's 14 days or 10 days or 21 days, as soon as you get one application, you can't necessarily eliminate the public, as Jay was getting to. If you tell the public you have 21 days
So 21 days, no one applies.
then we acknowledge it's still open, and as soon as there's an application, we'll entertain that person as the next scheduled meeting. If that's day 22. Yeah, so if it's 22 days, we get an applicant, nobody else applies, next scheduled meeting, we'll interview that person.
Open a window for 21 days, and then the next scheduled meeting, you entertain those applications.
Yep, and if there's no scheduled meeting, we'll schedule a meeting to.
And then if there were no applications after you advertise.
We'll just proceed.
Subsequently, after the 21-day period applies, then you'll entertain it the next scheduled meeting.
Yeah,
There are two conditions that you have to sort of specify.
so we'll have a 21-day window, business day. Do you want to write that out, Richard, and nominate?
I did the first one.
Not necessarily beholden to the.
No, we can, it'll be in the minutes. We can edit it as needed if it doesn't come across as the way we intended.
You post it in 5 days, and then you'll have a 21-day application window, whereupon applications will be entertained the next business.
Yep, after 21,
meeting.
yep, after 21 business days.
And then I guess you would have a second one that says, if no applications are submitted within that window, then applications subsequently submitted will be entertained at the next scheduled meeting.
Yeah. That's fine with me. Do I have a motion? Was that a motion, Rich, to accept it as proposed? Okay. Did you get that, Charlene?
No, I'm sorry, I got distracted. Repeat that. It's the mic.
I guess the motion would be, after it's posted for 5 days, the board will entertain solicitations for applications for 21 days that will then be evaluated on the next scheduled Budget Committee meeting. And then the second condition is if no applications are submitted within that 21 days, and then an application is subsequently submitted, it'll be entertained next scheduled budget meeting.
Second.
Any comments?
I hope the Gaza negotiations go quicker than the,
That's why this is a special meeting. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? Any abstains? Good. Thank you all. I didn't see any other edits to the procedures as they're written. I don't know if anybody else has any comments in regards to the procedures. That was my biggest concern was that void or that verbiage from prior years. All right, so I'm gonna let Jay speak as to where we are in the budget process and so we can plan our next potential meeting.
All right. Right now, the town is working on the budgets and discussion with the town manager. We're probably looking at the Board of Selectmen will have the budgets around the 23rd as a formal presentation.
September.
Yeah, September 23rd, sorry. A tentative presentation on September 23rd. We'll have our, and then from there, we're looking to do a combined meeting the week of, would be probably 2 weeks after that.
So you say combined meeting, you mean the budget committee and the board of
Yeah,
selectmen like we
budget
did last year?
and the Board of Selectmen like we did last year. Would be looking to do a combined meeting on the 7th, where we'd have some of the major,
October 7th?
October 7th, sorry. Some of the major departments in to do their budget presentations. And then from there, the selectmen would continue their process. So probably over the next 2 weeks, which would bring us to October 21st. And then you're probably looking at having the budget sometime at the beginning of the year, if not
All right, so the
a week
proposed,
sooner.
so the October 7th is the potential next meeting with the
Yes.
board of selectmen.
Yeah, that would be the combined meeting,
All right,
October
so
7th.
we can pencil that in, but obviously you and Greg will confirm
Yeah,
as we get closer to that date.
that's what we've been
Aiming
thinking
for,
as
yeah.
far as the tentative schedule, so.
So would October 7th be all department heads or just those who chose to show up?
It would be, we wouldn't have all department heads in that one meeting.
In one night, that would be impossible, yeah.
We'd probably just do like fire, police, highway, recreation.
Library?
5 big budgets. And then from there, we would have our budget process, and then once we hand it off to you, then that's when you guys can have
Traditional.
your requests, do your vetting of the process.
Okay. I know the library has invited us back again to do a tour, to talk to us about their budgets and their needs. I thought that was really great when I've done that before. I know that, I know the fire chief and the police chief will do the same. I know some of us have participated in that. That's a great way to see actually what's going on with the day-to-day operations and their shortcomings and what their requests are. So if anybody is entertained by the lab, who wants to spend time at the library talking to CAB or to Chief Knutson or Santoro, I'm sure we can schedule that. So if anybody has feedback, let me know. Any other old business or new business at this point?
I just have a request. I would like to have the stock financial reports from the ambulance service provided to us sort of immediately, just for review. I've looked at, the reports that are available up until August, but, I had to get those.
August 24
Well,
or
we have
20?
July, but we don't have August yet.
Okay.
But I've seen everything up until July, but those I had to get, from somebody that did a right to know request.
Yeah.
I mean, that's something that should be, just sort of readily available. The reports are pretty much stock financial reports. I mean, there's an excellent report in there that has an aging report on the receivables. All right, so you have current 30, 60, 90, 180 in terms of, what's out there, in terms of what's being collected and carried as a receivable. All right, so that provides a level of, transparency in what we're billing that we can see right
Okay.
away on inspection. There should probably be at some point some sort of a overview on some of the analysis and how we're billing for that. I mean, I know that, for instance, if it's Medicare or Medicaid, that's a pickup for the ambulance. What we can charge is statutorily dictated. Right, so let's say hypothetically we were charging $5,000 for an ambulance ride. Somebody has a Medicare, it's a Medicare encounter. Then statutorily you're going to get what Medicare says you're going to get, and that amount then is usually, I think the process is to expense it or write it off. Right, so
Discounted,
yeah, and then we could do, and then we'd like to see what we're actually billing. I mean, if you bill the maximum amount you can, you're going to get what the insurance company pays you.
Yep.
And then the practice again is usually, let's say it was 5,000 you billed for, and the insurance company says here's 4,000. All right.
Yep.
I believe the mechanism is to turn around and write that off in some instances.
Yeah,
not
it's the same thing a medical practice would do.
Right, exactly.
So
But that's the type of, and then we can ask, certain budget
Follow-up
committee
questions.
type questions,
Yep,
like
that's okay.
if we're getting billing at 100 and we're getting 100% back from our insurance encounters, I mean, I would immediately think that means we're not billing what we should be. All right.
Or are we collecting what we should be? Or
Right.
there's a disconnect somewhere.
And if not, then we need to know why we're not doing that. All right.
But
Whether or
how-
not there's some sort of concern
Okay.
with respect
How
to.
does that affect the budget that's going to be presented to you?
Well, because what I want to know now is that I want to know what the ambulance service is happening, because that was the largest increase budget
The
line
largest
item.
item, yeah.
Right, I think 4220 might be the number that comes to mind. But that was a 57% line item increase. All right, and I'm going to say it again out loud from the beginning. I think the ambulance service should probably be treated as an enterprise account. I've heard lots of explanations about, why it isn't, that we need to collect information. but-
Jay, correct me if I'm wrong. It will be the goal is to have it at some point once it's self-sustaining.
Well, yeah, so that's what I mean. We need that
So
type of
you-
analysis.
So what you're asking is ambulance reports to the budget committee?
Yes. I mean, that would be.
And I've repeatedly said that I am all for having an independent account once we have a 2-year window to see exactly what it's costing us and what's coming in and what the write-offs are. You can't make an intelligent report if you've got something billed 180 days out and it's still not in. We need to have.
Well, have you looked at,
serious
have you looked at the receivable
Yes, I
report?
have.
What,
We-
then
we
there shouldn't
need
be
to
anything
have-
that's 180 days out without,
Should
that
be
doesn't have a
covered.
special narrative.
So let's agree to get the report, then we can analyze that when we get to the ambulance aspect of the budget planning.
Yeah.
But we'll get it monthly and share it monthly, and we can have conversations throughout, whether through email or what have you, to dive into those follow-up questions.
It's great.
And going back to what I was saying before I was interrupted is, I'm not against anything you've said at all. What I'm saying is, we're gonna have to have a full year's data to make an intelligent decision on where we stand. It's not a 6-month thing. You can't base a decision on the first 6 months because this billing.
It's short-sighted,
this
yeah.
collection, it's not a long enough cycle. We need to give it time to prove itself.
Right, so we'll look at the numbers as they're presented, and then we'll, over time.
I beg to differ on that. That's not, none of that's accurate.
Well, we can analyze it a short period of time.
This
but-
is a known business
Right.
that we took over. So it isn't like you opened a business and
You
you're
have no
trying to
history.
get metrics. We already know what the metrics are. All right,
In
so it
theory,
isn't
yeah.
like we need to wait and see. We know.
No, we'll get the numbers and share them. We can analyze them as we see fit and then make decisions along the way. But any other old business, new business? All right, so I didn't have public comment, but we have a gentleman from the public, if you're all set. All right.
What
So,
triggered you to come down if you're watching online, if I'm not out of line asking?
You,
I can never ask questions, and now you're questioning me from the audience. So that's a little bit like an affront, to be honest.
No, sorry. So we're trying to cover procedures today, and there was no budget comments. That's why public comment was left off. But since you showed up, I figured I'd give you the opportunity.
I appreciate
Okay.
it.
No, that's fine. No, I participate in your participation.
I was trying to be nice. I'm sorry if I offended you.
Well, I'm just saying, it's something I watch these meetings online typically because I can't come and comment at any of these meetings besides a very short window. And it's like when things come up, I can't ask questions. So to ask me a question from there after being told I can't ask questions is a little off-putting. And I'm not taking it personally from you, I'm just saying that's how it is.
All right. I don't think I've denied you any questions at this point, but you have my email, and you're welcome to attend every meeting. So if there's no other comments at this point, I make a motion to adjourn.
One second, did anyone else have a public comment over there? Okay.
All right, so we'll bring this meeting to conclusion at 7:06 PM.